What up, everybody? Welcome back to my streams. As you can see from the title, gonna be continuing to do some live coding, some talking, some just kind of like getting into the harder things of coding, AI, and everything else that comes with it. If you were with us last time, or if you were with me last time, I was still working on that onboarding app. I did a little bit of work on my own time on a few days where I haven't streamed, but I need to go back in there and I want to finish some last features. I'm trying to get this up live, at least the MVP version of for testing and some live production and get some people on there to test it and kick the wheels and whatnot within, let's say, a week or so. Things always happen, but yeah, not further ado. Let's just get right to it. Let's just see. Talk about. So you can see I did some more some little slight design work. Added a little border for some distinction in terms of like so people know what they're actually like looking at. So added notes to the homepage of people's workspaces and organizations. So to say, if you use Better Auth. Same here, fix some of the notes in the sidebar. Fix notes over here, added some images, tighten things up, tighten the display of things. Fix reference messages. So you get the name, their picture, the date of the actual message that the note is referencing. I've kind of put a halt on replying. My next goal was to add replies to messages. So notes to notes basically. So somebody could come in and reply. Kind of put that on a later version, maybe 2.0, figure that out later. Don't want to overcomplicate things too much. So for the most part, notes are pretty close to done. I think the one thing I do want to do is add note editing. So obviously tighten some things up, some visuals, whatnot along the way, but that'll the main thing I need to do for my actual note feature. So let's just hop into it. Touch the reference up. I might increase the no signs of reference messages. A little bit too for now. All right. So I don't know if you guys are joining me, but like I said, I've been testing out AI and the use of AI agents and coding. So I've been kind of letting it run and see what it does in terms of implementing features and tasks and things. It's done a pretty good job overall. I do need to always go back in and clean some things up. It does do a weird thing. It does do a lot of like duplication and just too much code, honestly, like a little bit too verbose. But for the most part, it does a pretty good job. I always go back in later on and clean things up and optimize, especially before I put it up as production, at least MVP version. But for the most part, it does do what I want. So I'm gonna just see what it does for editing. So just come in here and tell it. Need notes. All right, let's see what that does. It typically takes 30 seconds or so to do something like this. Basically, what I told it to do is I need to implement edit functionality. I don't know if I have validations. So I might go in there and add validations in terms of editing notes. I don't. No, I don't. So it's probably going to add some validations for note editing. No, I have here. Edit project note schema. Omit reference type. Omit. So basically, all this is extending my create project note schema, but it's telling it don't include these validations because you're not going to be able to reference anything in terms of editing. I just want simply to be able to edit the actual note of it. Okay, so it might not touch validations. What it'll probably do is just add the functionality to my layout and then create a modal pop-up here, which I told it to do. So what I need is I need a edit button here, which will launch a modal with the form to edit the actual message of the note. Then I'll include like an edited tag here. You will not be able to reassign a member to it, which is right here. So basically just this form right here, basically with the pre-existing text with the ability to edit. All right, so basically scanned my entire, you can't see what it's looking at right now, but it scanned my entire workflow. It identified that I already have APIs set up to actually support editing. So mostly it's going to be doing just strictly UI kind of interface work for this one. So like I said, it went to my layout form. Still doing some patchwork. As you can see right here, it created a function to handle note editing, which will be triggered by the actual button in the drop down. If there's no body, if there's no note, saying that it is required. Note is required. It's going to call my API, the method of post when I need, or try to at least, intent with the intent edit note because I have it the API is structured where it reads the intent being sent. There's no response. Tell you failed to upload. Okay. Then it's going to get the payload back. Basically, the response from the API is going to be a JSON object, and you're waiting. You're going to put the success as Boolean, and the note is going to be of this type. I defined up here. I think I imported it. I did. All right, and then this is just the state of the UI, which is, a React functionality. So take the state of the notes, grab the previous notes. You're going to create a copy of it, get the body. The signee is going to be whatever the existing signee is in existing. Then you're going to set the new note. Take the previous ones and add it. Okay, those updated, found updated. Looks right. And then again, you're going to pass down to outlet because it's in a different component to handle that function. So you're passing down the actual function it's going to be doing, which would be say pass down here in outlet context, setting the state here, editing states. Handle edit, set editing true. And then that's the function that was passed down. You're going to call that with the node ID and body passed in. Okay. Node state instead of node. Then to actual project item, you're going to pass down these props as editing and the node state. Like that. Editing this to the type so I don't get any errors again on edit as editing false. Pass down the functions. Pass down a boolean to handle the state of the form that's going to be called. Dialog open, edit body, submitting, all states added. Again, use effect if there is no edit dialog open. Then again, this is the effect that's going to run every time these change, the dialog opens or the note changes. Then basically you're going to set this to close, I believe. Okay, jump. Edit note here, and I don't know why edit would be this. All right, then here's the added. Here's actual dialog pop-up. That's gonna be if they added something. Again, same thing, function that's going to call the pass down function of on edit note to handle editing. This is on my notes view, then I was on my single note view. Check my servers. So again, just to update the project note, you're gonna existing await, find the first project where the ID that I'm passing in equals whatever ID is in my database. And you're gonna add this, I want this column, assign a user ID. Basically, so I can add an assignee to this node if there wasn't one there previously. All right. Overall, it looks pretty solid in terms of what they did. Let's check that out. Boom. Edit node. Cool. Gauges. quick little edit form here. Also edit here. Referencing here. Okay, so I didn't do it. So I actually do want to be able to assign somebody if a note didn't have one previously. So I'll do that next. I'll clean this drop down up a little bit. That's weird. I don't know why I was double check that. It does some weird decisions. Like it removed this. I don't know why it removed that. I need it there. I don't know why I did that. And then all right, I don't know why I added this. That's some weird visual choices sometimes. I don't really understand, but all right, that looks better. Let's go back. Same. All right, all about the separator. Now let's actually try editing. I don't know. Updated here. Okay. Updated here. Now let's try on the actual notes view. Perfect. So I think overall looks pretty good. I'll probably fix up. Update the note buddy. It's a weird way to say. I'll fix that real quick. Back. All right, update the note. Simple. Perfect. Unnecessary. Delete that. Cool. I think I have. Okay, confirmation is there. One thing I've noticed with AI is that sometimes you have to be very explicit in terms of the scoping that you want. You need to make sure that only a owner or author of the note is able and capable of editing that note. I think it's set up like that. Let me check. Update. Here's my update project note. Finding the note. Assert assignee as member. Okay, that's there. That's fine. So this is determining that you're actually a member of it, so that you can actually perform the editing. Yeah, but there's no guards in terms of telling it that if the author of the note, if the user is not the author of the note, then they cannot edit said note. So I need to go in there and do that, because I think actually, as you see, I am logged as myself, but I can go to say John Doe's note right here and edit it, which I should not be able to do. So I'm gonna tell it to scope it in turn. I'm gonna tell it to scope it to just the author. Note editing needs to be scoped to the author of the note. There's will not be able to edit a note that isn't there, and they will not be the option drop down menu. Let it do its thing. And it should come back into my server API, or my server file, and add actually enforcement of identifying if the current session is equal to the author ID of said note, and if it's not, then you return and do nothing, so you don't actually process it. So, and then on the UI side, it should hide the same thing. See right here, added after user ID as one of the props, and again, it's going to pull. You're going to find the note, and you're going to find the author user ID as well, because that's where you're going to find the user. And if existing author user ID does not equal this one, because existing is here, and it's not equal to this, only the note author can edit this note. So if the note's author ID does not equal the arguments which are being passed, which is going to be my current user, does not equal the current user ID, then boom. Right, so then you're passing this update project note here to my actual API, access.session.user.id. So that's going to be actor user ID, and that's what it was looking for. Basically saying if this actor user ID does not equal, and that's the actor user ID being from the session, the current session, meaning the signed in user, and then visually it should have hidden it. Okay, on edit, no author does not, then okay. So we'll go back here and check. Refresh. Sometimes it gets stale. Okay. I can edit still on mine, and then I come here and I can no longer see the option to even edit, which is exactly what I want. I also need to, I just realize I need to scope the deletion also. I'll just go ahead and tell it to do that as well. So it should come back in here, remove the delete notes for notes that aren't yours. All I should see for another note is all I should be able to see for another note would be copy note link, And then on my own, I see edit note, copy note, and delete note. I have, yeah, nothing here. Just you gotta go visualize it. Here's the author. Cool. Says it's done. Give it a look. Okay, same thing. Fresh projects. Okay, can't even see it. Cool. All right, so no editing is done. Oh, not done. I do need to, what I do want to do is I do want to be able to assign a member still if there is no member. Well, so I was considering having it be where you can still assign a member to a note, meaning they'll get notified directly after creating the note, but that also kind of causes further issues because upon initial creation, it's going to run the initial notification check. If there's an assigned member, the notifications will fire and send off an email or whatever to that person. And if I create if I update, I guess I can refire it a second time to check if there is an assignee to it, but could be a little bit overcomplicating things. I'm thinking about user experience. Somebody creates a notes, they forget to mention somebody, so then they go back in later and instead of having to create a whole nother, I think the benefit is there, so I'm just going to tell it notes and want users to assign only basically I'm telling it like I want to be able to assign a member to it only if a member has not already been assigned to note, because I think things get messy when you have assigned a member to it notification wise, then you reassign it to a different member. The person sees the other notification. It just gets very messy. And then I don't like the ability to continually just change notifications. I think at that point, you just need to create a whole nother note. So I'm going to just leave it like that. I'm going to strictly keep it to notes that do not have an assigned member to it already. So let that work it out. Check out what else. All right, it's done. Let's give it a look. Okay, it says one-time member assignment exactly requested. Let's check the files that changed. Check the API first. So update project note, it's going to initially payload.data assignee equals undefined. So it's going to be undefined, and if it's undefined, then it's going to remain undefined. Otherwise, payload.data that assignee, or no, meaning if I remove, no. Okay, here's the check if existing assignee. So if existing already has an assignee to it based on user ID, and it does not equal undefined, and the assignee that I'm passing, that basically the assignee that I'm passing it from the update does not equal this one already. It already has an assignee, and if it's not undefined and the assignee does not occur, it cannot be changed once set. Cool. So basically I can't reassign something, which is what I want. My layout. Okay, so I just added a assignee user ID prop. You're gonna take response, get the body, get a copy of the assignee ID, and if it's not undefined, then that's gonna be this new one. Cool. Passing it down to my project note. Session note assignees. It's going to be my outlet context. Here I'm pulling that prop, adding that here. Here's the updated dialog. Can assign on edit, then you can assign a member while editing because this note is currently unassigned, but I'm probably going to remove that. Basically, here's a function. If I can assign on edit, doesn't match those criteria, then here is, well, I don't know if it pulled my existing. Again, give it a look. Hard refresh. We're doing stale data. There is no assignee here, so let's come here. Let's go to edit. Right, so it didn't pull my actual. If you check my other one, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I actually set up a combo box and a search feature so I can assign all members and I can search members because I don't know exactly how many there will be pending, so I need to fix that. I tell it to use. Well, let's check if you can actually assign somebody. It's not firing. Come in here and check. What the hell's going on? Let's figure out why it's not firing. Not getting anything in my console. So something's silently failing, which is annoying. Yeah, I'm not getting any server response, which is odd. So I'm gonna tell it to check that. Check actually editing works. No, no updating works, but oh. All right. So I found an edge. Think about this. You get a lot of like little edge cases. So one of my edge cases, if I come in here and I try to, let's just assign a person right now, okay, nothing fires. But if I try to update, this is an update, and then I assign the person, then it properly assigns. So an edge case that it missed and I needed to check it. I believe it's because so I pretty much know what's going on. The node body is sending, and it's the exact same as what was previously set. So once it sees that those two things are equal, it assumes that you're not actually updating anything and it doesn't fire. But if I change anything in the body, it's going to see that and say like, oh, this is a new edit update, and it's going to fire update. And because it's firing update, it's going to also assign. So right now it's not firing when I'm not assigning, not updating when I don't change the text, but just assign a member. Can you fix that? So there's some edge case, some overlooked thing where it is not recognizing that in order to update right now, it requires a change to the node body. But if I just assign a new member because I say I forgot, there's not going to be a change to the actual body of the text, and it's not going to fire the update. So I need it to fire and check if there's change in either one of those situations and fire. So it's going to go back in and do that right now. Yeah, so what it's explaining the problem right now, and the problem is the safe handler exited early whenever the trim body matched the existing body, which is what I said was the main issue, and it updated the safeguard to treat assignment selection also as a valid change. So either I update the text or I update assignee, it should now fire properly. Let's give this a check. For that, let's remove the description. So now fine. Now it fires. And then if I go back to try to edit, you see I can edit text, but I cannot change the assigned user. Kind of want to have it as a visual cue because people might come in here and think they can edit it, and I want them to be visually told, because you'd be surprised at what people kind of get confused about, that you cannot actually change the assignee. So I'm gonna tell it to fix that too. But before I needed to fix it, change the I need to switch and use these combo box, which is a combo box where I can actually search my entire member database of the workspace, so I can find the user quickly, no matter how many members I might have on my team, maybe 100, and I don't want it to scroll through all. So right now it's only choosing this hard coded, which means it would list every single member you have, which is also a load on your resources. But then I literally had to scroll through the entire list, so I set up a combo box and I'm telling it to go ahead and change that and implement and utilize that. One thing I do a lot for my coding and programming is I write down a lot of things, especially if I'm planning things out or I have like a to-do list of things I need to get done. I hand write it out. Honestly, like the connection between writing tactically and like my understanding and memory of it is much deeper when I actually write it down than say type it out. So I use a little tablet like I got here, and I actually write down everything that I need to do. Or even when I was learning, I wrote pretty much everything down, even though I would later go on to my keyboard and do a lot of my coding, obviously. But this was like a big kind of help for me. So also like the enter call, use a live member search fetch behavior. So I've got it visually the same, but it's not actually utilizing my search switches. Sometimes you gotta keep down like, the hell are you doing? Of course I need to search. Set of wiring up, so let's check. called it correctly. Got my command set up, edit assigning live assumptions, set as assignee. Okay, should have debalanced it. All right, so debalanced it. I'm calling fetch method body, then async response. Let me see. So I used a different, I don't know why I used something different than. I like to try to keep all my functions the same. It just created a whole new function, which is annoying. Because here's my debounced with my first setup. Lead, append, clear timeout, and then timeout. So yeah, I don't know why I didn't use that. I want to reuse. I'm planning to just go ahead and reuse the same lead functionality I already had set up instead of creating a whole nother function. And then if possible, I wanted to kind of honestly just use this. It's then pass it down in props, so I don't need to have multiple places of doing the same thing. And if something changes, which things always do, I don't need to go hunch it down later on. I can just change it to one place and voila. So I hate sometimes that it loses context and then it will just literally just kind of redo everything that you already had done in a whole separate file when it could just be refactored and used and passed down, and you know what I mean. So here, so it refactored into a new function called search members, which is the same. You're going to pass these form data, which is just going to be the members fetcher, which is search, and then it kind of refactored into my notes and to my practical notes. So it's going to take this and then pass it down, I believe. Yes, it's going to pass it down, the actual function, as a prop to the component. So I don't have two completely separate functions to do the same thing on every single route, which is an annoying part of AI sometimes, is that it does not always do the best job of just reusing what is already there and cutting down the amount of code that is needed. Because why the hell are we redoing everything? It's already on the parent outlet, so just pass it down. That's exactly what it did. And you can see like it cut down on the amount of code substantially. So cool. Should still work. A hard refresh. Edit. Still works. All right, much less code, much cleaner, much easier to maintain in the future. Let's add a note. Let's try this. Now, what I like to do, everybody's got, their lorem ipsum, that text that's everywhere. What I like, for those that don't know, there is a Wu-Tang lorem ipsum that I like to use quite a bit. So I'm going to do that for this note. Paste it, create note. Cool. Creation still works. Come here, check the functionality. Come to edit. The signing still works. Let's see. Boom. I do need to make it so you can't assign yourself to the project now. Let's go back. Yeah, no. Because when I come to projects, go to create. Yeah, it's got the same. Well, I can assign myself. All right, that works. Last thing I need to do. Assignment. User should not be able to assign themselves to a. So I'm telling you to scope it so that you can't assign yourself to a note. I just think it doesn't make sense and it can get tricky in terms of notifications when doing self to self. So and assigning is literally just so that you can manage who gets, so that person will get notified of that specific assignment. It's done. Let's see what it's doing. But made some changes server side to actually scope it. So again, the ID that's being passed, if there's an assigning ID being passed, and if that assigned ID equals that, then you cannot assign yourself to a node. It's going to throw that error response. We see it's on the server side, it's preventing the assigning, and then on actual UI side, let's see what it did. Assignees, assignable options. So it created options of basically who is assignable. Basically, again, note assignable options equals lead options, and you're filtering. What's that? That's weird. All right, so it's basically what it's doing is filtering out your current ID, the signed in session, from the list of lead options. So I shouldn't be able to go in here and even see myself as an option. And I'm not. And if I search, it doesn't come up. Cool. So now I can't assign myself. So yeah, properly scoped. Making good progress. All right, last thing I want to do for notes is give it its own dedicated route. Right now I have all these and I have it listed right here as my latest notes, but I want to give the workspace its own route of all notes added so you can go through later, find old ones, maybe search for something. You don't have to go through the specific project. It would just be able to list whatever notes are out there, which is cool. So that's the last thing I'm gonna do for this notes feature. And then the last feature, major feature I will need to do is add tasks, which will be an endeavor, but that one shouldn't take me as long. And then, do notifications, which honestly should take a day or two, and then do a lot of cleanup and then get it up for the next week or so. So I think making some good progress. Gotta do, like I said, I want to add an actual let's add my nav items here. Let's see. Before that, let's close, stop the server. Let's go to routes. Center dashboard, organizations, projects. I will probably put you here. Notes. Dashboard slash. X. Obviously not there yet, so that I'm going to need, let's just do that now. Turn to S. Slash dashboard slash organization slash test. Yeah, but it will be, and then let's add those files. Let's add. Because it's React router, let's server again. So I can get those, so I can generate the types, because it dynamically generates types for the files and the routes being added here. So do task later. Takes a little longer by computer. Laptop's a little older, but it also has a whole nother Redis, however you say it, server running. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So then you can see, because I ran that, I should be able to get matter of fact, let's here. Okay. function loader. Then you need the branch as well. So and what I like to do is just grab a route that I already like. What I know I'm going to need active. Gonna need these. Okay, equals 08. Import that server. It's weird, I don't know why. Being slow right now. Real slow. Because what I'm going to need is this. The query. I think it's just drizzle RM should be. Oops. Take. Which one I like? Set up like that. Kind of like my project set. Just have a note. I like it like that, so I'm gonna do it like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just copy this whole header here. Yeah, this is blocking. I'm gonna need to. Layout. On that. No, it's not of project task notes. Cool. Fix that. So I'm gonna tell it to fill this out.
Suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time.
Cool initial setup. Got the navigation working. The route's in place, and next thing I need to do is just, I told it to go ahead and complete this basically, and fill out my notes layout and use the same layout I did on my homepage. The last thing I kind of did. All right, so we got something. a wired up search, which I didn't think I had search wired up, but it wired up search already. Searching notes body, project name, users.name, order by. And some notes. Hold on. All right, so I'm selecting all of these fields from my project notes table, and I'm joining it to my projects table to match the project notes, project ID, and project ID with the active status. I don't need it to be. Then I'm joining it to my users table to get the author information. I'm going to need to change this. Right now it's doing local filtering for my searches, which is fine when you have a small amount of items you need to kind of quickly search through. But when you have a growing list of items and you're going to need to make some database calls, it's going to have to set up as a separate search API. You have to make a call to the database basically to get, because it's going to get very deeply nested and you don't want to list all those up front. But right now it's just doing initial filtering, which, is fine for now, but it's fine for now. It's just not, I'm going to need to go back there and redo. I need to go back in there and redo it because I'm going to have to actually do some database filtering for it. So here it is. A bad initial attempts, but I think we can do better. So I'll just keep the changes for now. Let's check my other one since I don't have notes. No notes found. Cool. So this should be full width. All right, I need to change that. I don't know. It does some weird things sometimes. Let's do this. Let's copy you. Completely different divs. Let's place you. Right, so I need you to be inside. All right. Take a quick little break. I'll be right back. Use the bathroom. I'm back. All right, let's see if we can figure this out. Basically, let's. Oh, I know what's going on. Let's do this. Fixed it. All right, cool. This is weird. How do I wrap this? why it's not working. Yeah, I'll just wrap the whole thing. Do this though. Review. Think that got it. Check.
Yeah.
Way too long on that. Go to notes. All right. Don't like. Might be a little bit much. Let's try 3. All right, I like 3, so let's clean this up. Background card. Cool. Filtering works. Like I said, I'm gonna have to change out that filtering for an actual search, which will have to hit my database, which will have to handle in another API file. And then I will need to make sure the links work. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Links are working. Cool. I don't know why it's taking so long right now. I think my encoder on my laptop's kind of pushing it. Cool. So all these going. Oh yeah, so it's got my notes workspace done. Task I need to do next, but notes, you come here on a workspace and you will have full access. You have access to all of the notes in a project. I think that's why it's slowing down. I got way too many windows open right now. Come here, you got your overview. You have a list of all of your latest notes, which is what I would give you this. Name. I give you div. Let's go. Button. I think I'm passing down my information. So let's go.
goes a little something like.
What's going on? I need to open a new chat. I am context is crazy right now, so the stopping point. I think got a lot done there. All right, so yeah, I finished my notes functionality, added some styling to it, fixed up the avatars and the assignments, implemented editing, and scoped it properly so that you can only edit your own and delete. Also scope that. Okay. Fix editing so that you can only assign somebody who hasn't already been assigned if the note doesn't already have an assigned user. So yeah, notes are done. I think that'll be a big part of this app because you can create notes for yourself and you create notes for your team and other people that you work with that you don't need to constantly kind of communicate back and forth and Slacks and emails. That shit gets very overwhelming. So you will be able to just come in here and see what's the latest notes. And if you are assigned to a note, you will be notified in the future of that note so that you know exactly what's going on and when somebody needs to get in touch with you. Because this whole point is to try to automate the process of completing a project or bringing somebody else on. So I think this does a pretty good job. I'll need to go in and scope it probably in terms of what the client can or cannot see, which, let's do that now. Let's check it out. So your client, you get to see the projects that you've been invited to and that are currently active, canceled, or pending. Come here. Okay, as you can see, I don't get the notes. I don't see a functionality here for the notes. If I go to notes, it shouldn't give me anything. Yep. Cool, so that's properly scoped in terms of what you can and can't see. Cool, so that's set up. Let's try. Okay, so I'm a user. I didn't create the project. I'm just part of the team. As you can see, just a team member. So I can't do anything in terms of them. But I can come here. I can see where, go here, see some of the latest notes that have been left. So maybe I can tackle some things. Right now it shows that I'm probably alerted to some of them, but obviously notifications are set up. So I come in here, see what's going on. Say I want to go to a project, actual project. Messages, here's the notes on the left hand side. I come here, check the notes here. Shows me the latest. Cool. All right, cool. Next, I'm gonna switch over to my other ongoing live actually app collective and kind of walk you guys through that as I build some new features that I want for that. So till then, I'll be back more soon. Peace.